जय श्री राधे, श्री बलभाधीश की जय, श्री गोसाई जी की जय, सब वैष्णवों को सादर सप्रेम. Jai Shri Krishna. Continuing the reading of the 252 Vaishnav ki Varta, the story of the 252 Vaishnava disciples of Sri Gosaiji. Varta number 1, the story of Nagji Bhatt. Continuing with the Bhav Prakash in part 1 of the story. Bhav Prakash. This is because Nagji was attached to the Lord. Those who have such attachment are not so interested in their homes. In his Bhakti Vardhani treatise, How to Increase Devotion, Sri Acharyaji has written, Snehad raga vinasa syat, asaktya syad griha ruchihi. When one develops affection for the Lord, one's worldly desires are destroyed. When one is addicted to the Lord, one develops distaste for the family home. Therefore, Nagji did not go home where he would have had to delve into worldly affairs. Some days after this, the storekeeper lifted up the bamboo pole that Nagji had left there and found it to be very heavy. So he took it to Sri Gosaiji and told him how heavy it was. Sri Gosaiji told him to split it into 2 pieces. When he did, the coins fell out. Sri Gosaiji said that this must be Nagji's work. Nagji Bhatt was thus an accomplished Vaishnava and the recipient of Sri Gosaiji's blessings. Nagji was a landlord in Godara. The date of his daughter's wedding was drawing close. His wife said that she had no wealth, and therefore she would have to marry her daughter with a bangle, a palmful of water, and some sanctified red powder. Bhav Prakash. Nagji Bhatt's wife had been to Adel and had been initiated by Sri Gosaiji. Therefore, she firmly adhered to the devotional principles and was able to be very resilient in times of trouble, nor did she worry about societal opinion. In the Lord's Leela, this Bhatyaniji had been a Sakhi named Kanduki in Sri Yamunaji's group. She would meet Padmavati, Nagji, frequently. Therefore, from that time on, her relationship with Nagji was solid. Both of them shared the same mood, form and heart. That is how she perceived Nagji's intentions and decided to perform her daughter's wedding in this way. Part 1 continued. The local Vaishnavas heard about this plan. They approached their local ruler and told him that Nagji Bhatt was not at home and that his wife intended to perform the daughter's wedding with only 1 bangle, turmeric, red powder and a palmful of water. That ruler said, and why would Nagji Bhatt's daughter's wedding be conducted like this? After this, he gathered together all the wedding paraphernalia that he had at home together and sent it to Nagji's wife. She then found a good home for her daughter to go to and performed a nice wedding for her. A lot of money was put into the marriage. They provided sufficient goods for the bride as well as clothes and also fed many Brahmins very adequately. A number of days later, Nagji Bhatt took his leave of Sri Gosaiji and came home. His wife told him all about his daughter's wedding. Nagji said that it had been the Lord's wish and that it was good that worldly money had been used for a worldly purpose. The money that the Vaishnavas had given was not to be used for a worldly purpose, and so he had not wanted to use it for a wedding. When the Vaishnavas of Kambhaich heard this, they all began to praise Nagji. In this way, Nagji was an accomplished Vaishnava and the recipient of Sri Gosaiji's grace. Bhav Prakash. The lesson of this tale is that wealth from Vaishnavas is never to be used for worldly purposes. Such use would have resulted in denial of the Lord. Obviously, money has to be spent on worldly events like weddings, but the principle here is that one should consider the wedding or other duty as being related to the Lord's Seva, and one should perform such acts only after submitting them to the Lord. They should never be done to earn worldly praise. If ever it becomes necessary to spend money in order to survive, then one should do so without becoming confused about Seva and after understanding the principles involved, having first asked the Lord's permission. Another way of looking at it is when a devotee serves the Lord with full faith and no deviation, then Sri Thakurji himself sorts out all their other affairs. This promise Sri Thakurji has given in the 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha pariyupasate tesham nitya biyuktanam yogakshemam vaham yaham. Bhagavad Gita 9:22. To those who exclusively worship me with devotion and are thus always linked to me, I provide whatever they require. Part 2. Nagji was a landlord in Godhra. The local ruler called Nagji and told him to go to Rajnagar, where he should meet the emperor, and from him purchase an extension on the lease of his land. He gave Nagji 200 rupees to hand out to those who were instrumental in the deal if it became necessary. Nagji took the 200 rupees and set off from Godhra, taking one man with him. When he arrived there, he dressed up and sat on a horse, upon which he entered the market. When he came close to the place where there were 3 large gates, he saw some cloth which was being sold for a high price. He saw it and thought to himself that the cloth was so beautiful that it should definitely be sent to Sri Gosaiji. He asked how much the cloth would be and was told it would cost 200 rupees. He purchased the cloth, then turned around and went back to his camp. Bhav Prakash. Here the principle is revealed that Sri Thakurji enjoys the finest items. Therefore, if one sees an item of such high quality, one should purchase it and offer it to the Lord. If it so happened that one doesn't have the financial means to buy the item, then one must offer it with heart and mind to the Lord. This should be done in the same way that Kumbandasji offered mangoes to the Lord, which showed how much love he had for him. See Varta 83 in the 84 Vaishnavan Ki Varta, the story of the 84 Vartas, 84 Vaishnavas. Nagji then wrapped that cloth into a bamboo basket and assumed the form of a renunciate. He told his servant to remain in the camp and not go anywhere until he returned. He left Rajnagar for Gokul, travelling on day and night. He reached Gokul after some days, and at that very moment, Sri Gosaiji was telling the Vaishnavas that his Nagji would arrive soon. Nagji arrived just as he made this announcement. He bowed low to Sri Gosaiji. Sri Gosaiji asked him why and how he had come there. Nagji supplicated, "O Maharaj, it has been a long time since I have seen you, so I came to have your holy sight." Sri Gosaiji told him to go and bathe, and then to bring a water jug into the Seva area, and to take prasad. Nagji bathed, brought the water jug, also the cloth, and entered. Nagji thought to himself, "It would be very nice if my esteemed mother figure, Srimati Rukmani, were to wear this cloth and sit together with her husband Sri Gosaiji in their resting place. I would then have the sight of the couple. After that I can go back to Rajnagar." With this thought in mind, he entered the inner area of the Haveli and went to partake of prasad. Sri Rukmaniji came there to serve the prasad to Nagji with her own hands. Nagji prostrated before her and requested her to wear the cloth and then sit next to Sri Gosaiji so that he might be able to see them. Srimati Rukmaniji said that if she were to wear the cloth, Sri Gosaiji would be annoyed with her for wearing such very high-quality cloth. Bhav Prakash. Why? Because such best quality cloth should first always be offered to Sri Swaminiji. Rukminiji would not like to wear it before having offered it to Sri Swaminiji. Part 2 continued. Seeing Mother Rukminiji Bahuji's stubbornness on this point, Nagji took an oath in Sri Gosaiji's name and implored her to wear the cloth. On his insistence, she handed it to her personal servant, Bhav Prakash. This is the rule. One should not accept anything for oneself without having first offered it up to the Lord. This cloth was to be worn, and so Rukmini Bahuji had to give instructions to her personal servant. Part 2 continued. The servant brought the cloth and put it down close to them. Nagji sat to partake of prasad. Then he went to see Sri Gosaiji, who asked him how it was that he had come there. Nagji said that it had been a long time since he had had his sight and had come there for that reason, and that by Sri Gosaiji's grace his wish had been fulfilled. "I will leave again tonight," he said, "after you have retired for the night." Sri Gosaiji then took his leave from the Vaishnavas gathered there and went to take rest. Nagji went to Sri Mukramiji and asked her how to accept the cloth and wear it, which she did so on his instruction. She then went to sit next to Sri Gosaiji in their resting place. Nagji enjoyed the sight of the couple. Nagji then bowed low to them both and withdrew from there to set off to Rajnagar. Sri Gosaiji asked Rukmini Bahuji who had brought this cloth. She replied that it had been Sri Nagji who had brought it. Sri Gosaiji remarked that this cloth was really suitable exclusively for Sri Swaminiji and asked her why she had worn it. Perturbed by her husband's words, Rukminiji replied, "I did not want to wear it, but Nagji forced me to by taking an oath on your name. Only then did I wear it." Hearing this, Sri Gosaiji was content and kept quiet. Then he said, "My Nagji is like that. However, he must have left by now." It was the middle of the night when Nagji prostrated in front of Sri Gosaiji's door and then set off. It took him a few days to reach Rajnagar. There he met with the emperor and managed to retreat the Hakim of Godara's lease. Then he returned to Godara. He had not had to spend any money for the sake of extending the lease, so the Hakim was very pleased when Nagji gave it to him. He presented Nagji with a very nice robe of honour, and which Nagji wore to go home. In this way, Nagari was a recipient of Sri Gosaiji's grace. We conclude day 3 today with this sentence, and tomorrow will be day 4. We will commence from part 3. So Jai Shri Krishna, Aaj ke Anand ki Jai ho, Shab Vaishnavan ko Jai, Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe.